We have something special before we dive into God's Word together. As you've heard today, we had 14 ladies head off to Rochester, for the Thrive Conference. If you weren't able to go this year, ladies, you need to, I think it's October 6th, 7th next year. We'll probably go down on the 5th again because we really thoroughly enjoyed thrifting ourselves down. We stopped at a bunch of thrift stores. But it was just a great, refreshing time. And the theme of the conference was immersed. And during the response times on Friday evening, they had an opportunity for people to come up and get water baptized. And it was so amazing. They asked me, the leader of Bridging the Gap, which is the women's ministry for the Assemblies of God in Minnesota, asked me to help do some of those baptisms. So I got the opportunity to just baptize, hundreds of women, not just me, but like a team. Women, some of them were first-time decisions to get baptized. Some of them were needing just a rededication of their life. But we had 4 ladies do it here from Legacy, and they're gonna come up and just share, usually when you get water baptized here, you share just a little bit about why you did it, you're ready to do it, and so they just want to testify to God's goodness in their life. And so come on up if you're one of those ladies. Give them a hand. Some of them are maybe a little nervous. Who wants to go first? Are you okay going first? She wanted to. Okay. Is this working? Is it working?
Is it working? I don't think it's working. It's not working. It's on mute.
Okay, hi. My name is Candace, and I decided to get baptized when we went to the women's conference. So a little background, when I was a baby, I was baptized and grew up Lutheran, went to church on and off, and then 4 years ago, my son was diagnosed with a rare genetic condition. So my faith in God was extremely tested during this period. But He never left my side. He was always there for me during this time. And when we were at Immersed, I just felt this strong power to get baptized because God has always been with me, and I just felt the need to get baptized.
Good.
So I kind of had a similar experience as Candace as far as growing up being in the Lutheran church and having been baptized at a very young age with the splashes of water on your forehead, not even knowing what an immersion baptism was until I started coming to church here. Very sheltered in that regard, I guess. And when we were hearing them talk about what a baptism is for, and that it's your public proclamation to be able to come out and just say, yeah, I'm a follower of God and I want Him to wash me clean and I want to walk with Him and I want you to know that so you can walk with me and support me. And I had this feeling, it was like this warm feeling that started in my stomach, and it just went through every ounce of my body, and I was like, I have to do this. So we kind of looked at each other and knew we were getting the call together, and we went. And before I got baptized, I knew I had accepted Christ, and maybe there's some of you that have this in you right now. You know you accepted Christ at a young age, that's done, right? So now all of these big moments, or these call to action moments, they're not for you. You've already done that. You've already, had somebody say you're saved. But those moments, those big moments that are still happening are still for you. Just because you've already accepted Christ doesn't mean that's it. You're done, I would always think, that's somebody else can be in the limelight. That's not for me, But that's for you. God calls to you even after you're saved. Getting saved is just your first step.
Hi, I'm Nikki, for those of you that don't know me. I grew up in the Methodist church. and actually was saved at a camp that I shouldn't have even been at because I wasn't wanted there. I was with all the mean girls in my class, and actually one of their parents paid for me to go because they said, well, all the girls are going from church, you can't just leave Nikki out. So they didn't even want me in their cabin. And so I basically had no friends at camp except for my youth counselor. And she talked to me, and I accepted Jesus because in the Methodist church that I grew up in, you were just automatically saved. You didn't have to make that step, and we weren't taught that. So at 13, I accepted Jesus, and then I felt the call to ministry at 14, and I started becoming very involved in my church. I was a lay speaker by 16, taught preschool, and traveled around from different churches by 19. I was going through ministry courses through the church, and I was told that I wasn't fit to be a minister in the Methodist church because I'm a very charismatic talker. I don't stand still. And they said that's not Methodist right there. You need to find a different church. And every church I went to for lay speaker said the same thing. And then I just ended up getting hurt by the church eventually. So I shut that door and I closed it and went into youth ministry instead. And I was a youth leader for over 10 years in the Methodist church. And I was still hurt and I wasn't feeling called, and I just shut that door too because things just happened in the church, and I just grew so angry at the church. And then there's other trauma too that I'm not going to get into right now. We don't have the time. But a lot of hard trauma that most women don't go through. And God was with me through all of it, and I've been struggling for a long time. And then we adopted my daughter, Laura, and that was the best moment. But then I had really bad postpartum depression after my son was born, because then my daughter found drugs, and it was very hurtful and a hard time for me, feeling like a failed mother and a failed wife, and I've been struggling for so long, blaming myself and everything that I've gone through, turning away from God and not following his call. And then ever since I joined Legacy, thanks to my friend Chris, who's Brianna's mother-in-law, over there, I started becoming more involved in Legacy, and my pit was this June, and my friend Melissa looked at me and said, "Nikki, you're not okay." And I said, "I'm fine. Quit it. I'm good." And I wasn't fine. I started having panic attacks all day long, and the doctors couldn't figure out why. And this weekend, I couldn't help but tear up from all the speakers, and then God just put it on my heart. And that evening when they started calling, I didn't even care that there wasn't any clothes that we had to change into, because I didn't know that part. I just was waiting. I didn't want to walk down there in front of 3,000 people, because that's part of my PTSD is my full story you won't find out today, but I didn't want to be in the middle of 3,000 people on camera. And I was like, Lord, I don't want to walk down there by myself. So then I looked at Lana and Candace, and they're like, "We'll go with you." And I'm like, "Oh, thank you." And then we found out there was actually clothes to change into, so that was good. But I followed the call, and so I just feel so new, because he was really working this weekend.
All right, everybody. Hello. So, most of you should have, seen me up here or whatever. I was baptized at 17. I made the choice to be baptized. I love the Lord for as long as I can remember. And our speaker, Lisa, that first night, was talking about how she loved the Lord for as long as she could remember, but there was always shame, and there were things weighing her down that she couldn't stand up straight. And she didn't realize it for the longest time. There's insecurities and fear, and she talked about being fully immersed and allowing yourself to really just let the Lord wash it away. And I know I've said that I'm insecure, like, you know, it makes me really nervous to talk up here. And God's really been working since moving up here to show me those things and to just really find who I am, because I don't know who I am even now all the way. But it is amazing to me that the way that God works in all of us women, and that baptism is not just for those who have never been baptized before, your first time, or you were baptized as a little kid, but it can be for someone like me who, I love the Lord. I made the choice to be baptized when I was old enough to know what it meant to be baptized. But you can have that fresh washing away of your shame and your fear and your insecurities, and you can let God just come in and take it away. And doesn't mean it's going to always be easy. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to be nervous up here or right now or whatever, but I know who I am. I'm learning who I am, and it was just so great. I wasn't going to go because I'm very nervous in front of a bunch of people, and I had to have my friend, who is not here. She came with us. She's from Bemidji. She's been my best friend for a really long time. I couldn't go because I was so nervous, and I was like, oh, people like me don't go and get baptized, you know? And I leaned over and I said, will you just walk me to the door? Because I couldn't do it by myself. And just know that there are people here in this church. If you can't walk to that door by yourself, lean over to the person sitting next to you and say, hey, will you just come with me? Whatever it is that you need, that is what this church is for. That's what this community is for. And God is so good, and I'm just so thankful for this weekend, and that's it.